Something that is really worth thinking about when it comes to buying new fishing gear, rods, reels, baits, whatever it is the value versus the expense. What you are getting for what you pay for, right? Now, I've seen a lot of videos talking about Shimano Corrado DCs where the reviewer or the sponsored person is saying, oh yeah, you got to get that Corrado DC, best casting reel, and it casts against wind very well. I can guarantee you most people who are buying a Corrado DC are not using it to cast into wind. They're buying it because it makes a certain sound, right? Or a certain little status mark, right? I've used the Corrado DC, and Corrado MGO was just better for me. I think it casts a lot better. It was smoother, lighter, smaller, cheaper. And you can also make the argument that it might not even be worth it to get that MGL when there's an SLX out there. SLX is $100, brand new. You wait for those little sales, get it cheaper, but these cast super well, surprisingly well. Same size, same knobs, nice and light, half the price of that. Look at some spinning reels here. Shimano Mirabelle, right? Super lightweight, smooth reel. Damn, that spun for a long time. Quality reel, $130 from Shimano, right? People love this reel. It's tight, it's nice, works good, good looking reel. This Daiwa Regal, good looking reel, nice paint job, lightweight, 22 pounds of drag it says. Nice and smooth. Maybe not as smooth as a Mirabelle, but these are like $60. $60 compared to $130. It's half the price. There's not huge differences in these reels besides maybe like bearing count or smoothness. You can kind of make up your mind on that one. I've heard people say they will only buy Shimano, they will only buy Daiwa. That brand loyalty thing, I don't get it. I don't think they have any Michael loyalty. Do they have any you loyalty? I don't know about that. People say, I want to buy a Shimano because it's quality. I want it to last a long time, right? And these are great reels. But here's a little example. I know this is an older one, but check that out. Old Corrado Bantam. Got this from my father-in-law. Now, at the time, this was a high-end reel. These were game changers, and oh man, these were the best ones. Oh, remember the big green ones? They were the best. Check this out. You hear that? I don't even use this thing. I don't want to. This is more of a collector's piece. I don't want to use it because that gear is grinding in there. This is supposed to be a high-quality reel, and components are failing, right? Like with Daiwa, you want to go that way too? Well, I've heard someone say that the worm gear on their Daiwa just cracked. It just cracked. I've heard a guy on the California Delta was punching the thick hyacinth using a Shimano Corrado K, not this reel, but a Corrado K, with the micro module gears that people brag about and talk about, right? It was such a heavy hook set. It was only like a 4-pound bass, but they're pulling 30 pounds of hyacinth with that bass too. Reeling the fish back to them, and there was so much torque on the frame of the reel, the side plates, that like switched the gear around, kind of like moved it off kilter and chipped a tooth off the gear. Now, like, the reel's ruined. Oh, I want to buy it. It's tough, it's strong, it's going to last a long time. Shimano is known for using CI4 or like carbon graphite side plates. I don't really know if they make a reel that's aluminum side plates. Abu Garcia, they have some not as expensive reels that have aluminum side plates. So does Daiwa, right? You want to talk about frogging and flipping and pitching and punching. These are your reels. What is this, the Revo Ike? Here goes the Revo STX. Aluminum frames, aluminum handle side plates. These are tough. Just weigh out your options and do a little more research and consider those little things that not a lot of people talk about. I don't really hear people talking about aluminum side plates and stuff like that. You can do the same thing when it comes to baits. I spent a long time looking for a finesse spinner bait, right? And I finally found these little Z-Man. These are like called sling blades or something like that. These are like $8 or $9 a pop. I bought 6 of them. I finally found them. I said, I'm going to buy them when I see them. For some reason, these little swivels right here on 2 of them just locked up on me. and the blade would not spin around. The whole spinner bait was just twisting like that, twisting up my line. So I'm not going to waste my time fishing this thing. I got to replace all those swivels on there now. $8 or $9, that's expensive. When the Strike King tour grade spinnerbait, it works every time. I like this coleslaw color a lot. Not too flashy, not too crazy. But this thing, it just works every time. Swim straight. Or a slept on spinnerbait. This Dobbins spinnerbait, Dobbins B spinnerbait. Thick, heavy gauge wire here. It just withstands that thick vegetation on the California Delta. You know, everybody's got to have that jackhammer, right? These are $16 a piece. These Chatterbait Customs are like $3 or $4 on Tackle Warehouse. I'd rather lose 4 of these in the Delta than 4 of these, because 4 of these will cost the same price as 1 of these. See the difference? But value versus expense, remember that. This is a little Chatterbait Mini, not the Mini Max. This is just a Mini. It had a little rubber band that held the skirt together. That guy, from sitting in the tackle box with the soft plastic on, these little oils broke down that rubber band, and the skirt material just fell off. Kind of sucks. It ruined the bait. It's still usable. This is actually a good bait, but that's not what I paid for. Sometimes it might be more worth it to step up and get the one for $1 or $2 more with the hand-tied or wire-tied skirt on there. Another little example. Expense versus value. This is like an $8 or $9 crankbait. This is a KVD 6XD, $7 or $8, something like that. Notice that it looks brand new because it hasn't caught a single fish. Is because I don't fish it. And the reason why, oh, wow. I just noticed that the body isn't even straight on here. There you go. Anyway, this thing will not run straight. No matter how much you try to tune the little thing in there, it not only doesn't run straight, it goes off to the side, but it runs like crooked. I don't know what that's about. I've never had that happen before. I think it's just set wrong inside the bill here, right? So I'm not going to use this guy. And the Tactical DD, these are like $15 or $16. This River to Sea Tactical DD crank. This thing runs perfectly. Never had to touch this up here. Never had to tune it. Never touched the hooks. Nothing. I bought like 6 of these because they work perfectly. All different colors. Here's an example when it comes to rods. So I just had the St. Croix Victory spinning rod, right? I like to throw a drop shot. It's one of my confidence baits. I figured I'd invest in a more higher quality, you know, a little nicer, more expensive, more sensitive, all that combo, right? The St. Croix was a nice rod, but you know, it wasn't as sensitive as I thought it would be. This Daiwa Tatula XT, 7-foot medium, is, in my opinion, it's more sensitive. Super lightweight, right? It looks very adult, and I appreciate that. It looks higher end. It looks like it. Super nice EVA grip in the orientation that I like it, above the reel. And it's $100. These are $100. I paid $85 for it. But half the price of a St. Croix, right? I like this one better. Here's another example. Another fan favorite. I had the Dobbins Champion 744 jig rod. I bought it for throwing jigs. And notice I also don't have that anymore. It's because I sold it. Those are like $270. They're not cheap. They're pretty damn expensive. I only paid $190. Wait for those sales. But it wasn't as sensitive as I thought it would be. It was kind of disappointing. It was a nice rod. It felt good in my hand and everything. But I picked this guy up, and it's like so much lighter. And I weighed the rods out. The Champion XP, Dobbins Champion, was 164 grams. This was 132. That's over an ounce lighter. That's 32 grams lighter. And lighter equals more sensitive, apparently, right? And this guy, I paid $78 for it. Clearance at Turner's Outdoors. You see what I'm saying? Value versus expense. The more expensive rod was actually less sensitive than this one. Now, I'm not totally keen on 13 Fishing products, but I'm giving it another try. I'd broke a rod before, but giving it another try. So I'm sitting at work, checking out my video, editing that little video on value versus expense. And one thing I forgot to mention was when I did have those higher end rods, like Mega Bass Levante or St. Croix Victory or the Dobbins Champion 744, I was kind of scared to scratch them or mess them up or drop them in the water. So I'd be more careful with them. I'd baby them more. If I had an expensive reel, I would do the same thing. And you end up not fishing it as much as you would your cheaper stuff because you're not scared to mess those up. Or I wouldn't fish a certain rod in the Delta because I didn't want a chance to breaking it on that heavy vegetation. So might sound dumb, but it factored into the using the stuff. So weigh out your options. Don't always listen to the reviewers on YouTube, because sometimes they feel they need to justify to themselves why they spent $300 on a rod and $250 on a reel when it's actually not the greatest thing. But just do your research. Do your research. Listen to the more opinionated people. And a lot of reviewers on YouTube, it pisses me off. They'll just say, they'll make a whole 10-minute video fishing with a reel, and they'll just say, oh yeah, I like it. Oh, it's good. They don't really give an opinion. They're just giving an answer, right? So take reviews with a grain of salt. Take this video with a grain of salt. Just do some research. Take your time. Why not? It's your money. Spend it wisely.